Hello everyone. We'll have one of the beautiful temple, Seonam Temple. It's one famous beautiful flowers in spring seasons. You definitely go visit there. You very have a pleasant days. When you visit there first time, you will see uh, the pillar. We call this 천하대장군, 지하여장군, right? The pillar shaped like a human head at the entrance of a village or a temple or by the roadside. There's a wooden rancher, the great general 천하대장군, would be lonely if he were alone, but he's smiling with the uh, General 지하여장군 next to him. General Chona and General Jiha, who were uh, eavesdropping with curiosity, looked at each other and then shook their heads with joyful. Won't the wind riders touch a smile? Moreover, a beauty of nature which is created with the body's movements. The shaking its, tilted body is not a splendid color, but rather a beauty of Korea itself. The Korean style has an own beauty of humor in it. You see a plum flower on a tile fence. When you walk, follow the wall, you know, you see beautiful scenery like this. The plum blossoms and the tiles of the fence blend together. Especially, you have a thin eyes. Uh, the temple is intoxicated by the scene of the plum blossoms. The tile of the fence against the scene of plum blossoms. The plum and the tile look very free to look at. But inside, they are very logical and slightly disorganized. The reason why a symmetrical pattern forms and obliquely inclined roof tiles match better. Each other does not want to show perfections. In the case of material and conditions of preservation of the fence in the form of 와편담, 와편월. The wapian wall is the wall built by mixing the tiles and the soil together. In Korea, it is weak, very weak to build the wall with only soil because of the moistures. There, for the pure soil wall is rare and usually stacked with wapian and stones. In the case of the material and the condition of the preservation of the fence is in the form of the wapian wall. The materials of the head part are tile and mud and lime, and the materials of the body part is the same as eco-friendly mud and the tile. The biological, patina and plant. The the patina is like a pale milky white film. Those with the rigid attachment of particulates of earthy limes. So patina and then plants uh, on the wall, right? Which can sometimes affect the structural stability of the fence, our nature's long-standing beauty itself, along with the moss. Door and nature. When you close your eyes from afar from the wall, right? And regardless of a tree, flower, or stone, it is a picturesque nature. I think it's enough to not talk about anymore as a material. When looking at a feast of self reliant stone wall and subdiary wooden doors and dependent flowers and leaves, whether the stone walls are self-reliance or self-reliance, whether the stone walls are subordinate, whether the wooden doors are subordinate, they are not very important to the view. Each type of the particle in the entire space can do its best in that positions. In the element of design regarding the three-dimensional relationships, the relationship between form of dominant, subdominant, and subordinate is very important. However, self-reliance in an instant form of the relationships not only provide the contrast in nature, but also show a very interesting relationship depending on where and how they are located. When comparing the balance of the form with a dancer who dances, as if the relationship between the axes of her arms and legs is not balanced, if the body is not supported. All forms contribute to the overall harmony of all designs when completing the effect of connecting with different forms and achieving integrations. 승전교, 승성교, and Gangseonru. A Seungseon bridge is an arc-shaped stone bridge built of granite on a natural rock. Seungseon bridge is beautiful as painting with a riverbed on a natural rock. It hides the legend of the rainbow bridges and creates a permanent space with the pavilion Gangseonru. The appearance of the pine tree is more and more harmonized. In the middle of the arc, arc shapes, there's a legend that a stone with dragon heads sticking out from the bottom place, and if you take it out, the bridge will collapse. So these keystones very important, in the bridges. Like the scale of the fish, stones of different size were piled in one another. The stones of different size were properly placed to bite each other's, showing signs of carefully picking, breaking, and trimming. Through the physical and mental trials require considerable patience. The finished stone becomes more antique over the long years, enduring the sunshine, the rain, the wind, and the snow. It is so glad to be able to face the philosophy and wisdom of life of the good people in it, with the good people's desire for universal values in our lives, which were not intended to be forced, refined, or simple or comfortable. The stone bridges, if we magnified, was like a painting of the ink. The feeling would have been more intense on a drizzly rain day, with the flowers and the colorful plants holding their faces between the rough stones. Um, it is said that clear day and an autumn with the autumn leaves are very nice. The feeling varies from the time to time depending on the season and the weather. Look at these sketches, stone bridges over streams. The stone bridge is made of the stones from the stream, somewhat clumsy, but it looks very elaborated. The rainbow-shaped stone bridges had a shadow over the flowing streams, creating a new type of stone bridges. The feeling of sunrise in the mountains, rivers, and fields gives different sensibilities. Unlike the feeling of the perfect circle, the shadow of the stone bridges on the stream retains the prominence of nature, as the sun and the moon of the story of 연호랑 and 세오녀 tell of the longing waits. Uh, in Korea, it's a famous folk tale, 연호랑, 세오녀. It's about the creation of the sun and the moon, and the series of the stories about the couple's affections being opened by supernatural forces and pioneer toward a new world. The stone bridge like Seungseon bridges or on a stream is plain and simple. Have endured a long time in silence without a word of complaint. Perhaps it was trying to capture the energy of Gangseonru with that big bow. Artists, they attempt to, complete shadows on the surface of the water have not stopped today. To express the prominence of the nature has not been achieved. Flow of the water is very fun times, if we, tries to trace the, water flow. Where start from, where is becomes end, The visitors to the temple can feel the flow of the water by following the flow of the water without asking where it starts and where it is headed. Our fathers must have been very curious about the story of the flow of the water. The water in the valley of Seonamsa Temple starts from the stone well. We call this Dalmajeon, and connects to the valley. The water of the stone well is, close to line to a small waterfall. Sublimates, two lines, right next to the road. Um, on the fence, moved along the side road, along the edge of the hill road. Then, water gathered together in a small pond before taking a short break. Before heading to the stream of water in a large valley, if you savor the customs of the old sailors in the pavilion of Gangseonru, you will soon pass the Seungseon Bridge, Seungseon, and meet the large stream valley. Water and nature intersect with each other, uh, creating many shapes that open up new cultures, especially the Canal City in Japan. Canal City is a large-scale, complex cultural commercial facility. John George he designed until 2015. A famous American architect. He presents modern and contemporary architects. It becomes a cultural space, not just a shopping space. So this canal city in Fukuoka, Japan, shares nature and cultures, captures the concept and the story of the canal, a diverse flow of water, from a small fountain to a powerful and colorful fountain. From the sounds of small water to each unique and distinctive water sounds, all of are very closely linked to the concept of the surrounding shopping district. The water flows between the two buildings, making it more natural to look around the natural landscapes. Starting from a small fountain, it leads to various geometrical fountains and gathers into a pond in the central square. Water is no longer drinking water, but it is also becoming a cultural space with nature. Dalmajeon stone well. There's a stone well in the Dalmajeon. The four stone wells located behind the Dalmajeon Hall offer a small grandeur, whether embracing in front of them. Maybe that's why we don't come, forward to rest just because we control our body and mind. There are green, mountains and clouds swimming in the deep water. Originally, the first well is said to be the first water to Buddha and uses water in order. But I wonder why it is one square and three circles. If we take off our anxiety for moments on a warm sunlight afternoon and look at the stone wall, it is hard to express what the feeling of the bamboo's natural form to the rough stone containing transparent water will be. It may be, very mysterious feeling of being, sucked into nature. The characteristic of a hemisphere is that it feels warm and cozy, very cozy, right? It is, hard to decide whether to put half a circle in the square sky or for half a circle. The use of the same form of the continuous form will be excellent in terms of emphasis, but it is unlikely it will feel somewhat bored or seek a new vitality. It is different faces depending on the ingredients and the colors. The raw form of unrefined natural stone becomes more familiar with nature. What does this, cold and soft materials feel like? Let's think about this moment. Okay, natural Garam placements, Garam 배치, the special regularity, such as the layout of Garam, which means the formalized layout of the temple's architecture, the size, the distance, and the location of each other, the deep history of Seonam Temple, Seonamsa, in front of nature, do not reveal well. The shape of the tile repeats symmetry and asymmetry between the natural ridge on 조개, 조개산, 조개 mountain, and the koji in a temple shows a series of small orders aimed in disorder. The various types of pavilions emphasize the complex harmony of architectural space. Why is the beautiful roof tile lines trying to form a straight line, showing a subtle yet quiet dignity? Lines in space are used for various purposes, used to outline or describe a phase and particles, and can be used as an axis of a rigid solid form. There are 6 curved lines, but I like to talk about 3 slow curves in the curve. Three slow curve. First, nature curve. Second, restoring curve. Third, support curve. The most comfortable and the least dynamic, the neutral curve, right? Which is always the same as seen from any place, and all along the length of the curve are expanded and spread by the same amount of the force. The hollow curve, such like the shape of the new bride, is refreshing with its head sticking out and neatly pointed out at the skirt, its head neatly. The resting curve of cool Buddhist stance and the supporting curve are also very mysterious. Dancing with the line. Suddenly you know what you are trying to do. Perhaps it is doubtful whether our old ancestors tried to dance with each other to express their beauty. This place is one of my best places. I used to go there and visit, having pleasure in springtime. One of famous flowers. They open in a whole place. If you get a chance to visit there, think about beautiful moments. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.